Now, I am in no way an authority figure when it comes to Digicams and early CCD sensor cameras. I personally prefer my compact cameras to be of the film variety, just because I know how they operate. They're fairly straightforward and they seem to be fairly reliable most of the time. However, I am capable of offering advice on these CCD cameras. For a bit of context, I've worked in a camera shop for the last 10 years and often see issues on a weekly, if not daily basis that people are having with them. Therefore, I know some solutions and some workarounds that may help people if you're looking at picking up your first compact camera. Now, if you are in the market for a little compact or CCD camera, there are a few things to bear in mind before buying the first camera you see or buying the first one that an influencer recommends you. There are a lot of reasons to look at the early CCD and other digital compact cameras. The main one being that manufacturers were aware at the time that the limitations of the sensors themselves, such as, say, really bad performance in low light situations or really low resolution, could be combated some by putting a decent lens on the camera. So a lot of the cameras that you see from, say, early 2000s will have really nice lenses on them, even if the sensors are, say, 1 or 2 megapixels, and you'll still be able to get a fairly sharp shot because of that. Whereas the newer digital cameras, the little compact ones that are made by God knows who, they will have both poor sensors and poor lenses. That's mainly to keep the cost down, which is understandable. And I can see the appeal of the early digital cameras because they are going to be giving this more aesthetic sort of vibe. And you've probably noticed that in the last year, there have been a lot of people recommending different makes and models of compact cameras as ones that they found to have really good results from. The truth is, the majority of them are very good, especially from that early sort of period, where, as I say, the lenses were very high quality, even if the sensors weren't as high quality. So in this video, I'm going to go through sort of 4 things that are main issues with these digital compact cameras, and then as well offer some alternatives and some ways to sort of get around these if you do find that you want to go for an earlier compact camera. Now, the first and major one is going to be storage media. So when you're looking at cameras, oftentimes you'll just assume that it takes an SD card, as that is sort of the standard these days. However, with a lot of these earlier digital cameras, they take storage media, which is now obsolete. That can be anything from XD cards, smart media, the Sony memory stick system, to the mini SD. A lot of these card formats you can no longer find cards for. So then you're limiting yourself to a second-hand memory card market, which can be a bit risky, especially if you don't know how much the card's been used, what kind of condition it's in, things like that. The reason for this mainly is that in the early days of digital, most manufacturers hadn't agreed on a standardized format for the memory cards. For that reason, manufacturers started making their own different types of memory card as to what they thought would become the standard. The way to get around this is mainly going to be double checking the memory storage options. So finding a camera that takes either SD memory cards or push compact flash memory cards, just because they're going to be more widespread and more easy to find options for. Even if you do find a camera that takes SD cards, the thing to bear in mind is there are different levels of SD card that it may take. These will be capped at different maximum capacities, and if you put a capacity that is higher than its maximum, then the camera probably won't work. So those need to be looked at just to make sure that you can find a memory card which will work with that camera. The next issue that a lot of people run into is obsolete batteries and chargers. With a lot of these cameras, if they haven't been used for a long period of time, the battery inside the camera may either have stopped being able to take a charge, or it will have started to degrade and the battery will start to swell, which can cause it to either explode or can just stop it from being able to fit inside the camera. So you can find some batteries made by third-party manufacturers online, and there are some cameras which use a common battery and was used across a wide range of different manufacturers and cameras for a long period of time. The best piece of advice I can offer is, if you find a camera that you're interested in, go to Duracell Direct website, because Duracell make camera batteries, put in the camera model that you're interested in, and they will list whether or not they actually sell or make that battery for that camera. They'll tell you also if it's compatible with any other cameras, and then you can look at alternatives, you can look at different battery codes, things like that. It's a boring piece of advice, but it's a very useful one to have if you're struggling to find a battery or charger for that matter for any particular camera. The next thing to look out for is going to be sensor failure. Now, this can happen for a number of reasons, but it's often due to just the age of the sensor itself. Either there's corrosion forming around the sensor causing it to miscommunicate certain colors or image, things like that, or it's starting to what's called delaminate, where a layer of the sensor is essentially unsticking itself from the main components of the sensor. This can present in a number of ways, from just streaks across the image to major color shifts, and can sometimes just be a completely black screen. This is something to look out for if you are thinking of picking up a camera. If you've got a camera and this has already happened, you're pretty much, the camera is a write-off. For your peace of mind, the best thing to do is to find another camera and just forget about the one that's gone. That then takes us on to the last thing, which is going to be repairability. With a lot of these early cameras, it is going to be incredibly difficult to find a repairer who either has spare parts if something does break on your camera, or will have the knowledge and information on how to repair that camera correctly. There will be people that can do it, and if you are into sort of repairing things yourself, it's worth a go, but I wouldn't hold your breath, because the chances of anyone having spare parts for a camera that's 15 years plus old is going to be unlikely. The only real workaround here would be to look for a later camera, and one that was more sort of widespread in the market. And that way you've got a high likelihood of a repairer having spare parts and also having the knowledge on how to repair it. What I would personally recommend is that although CCD sensors do give a really nice stylistic look, I would recommend actually looking for later CMOS sensor cameras. I'd narrow that down to the Nikon Coolpix range and the Canon PowerShot or Ixus ranges of cameras manufactured after about 2012. You can find the information online as to what cameras were made when. That way you're going to have a better chance of A, being able to find storage media that works, B, being able to find batteries and chargers if needed, and C, being able to get the camera itself repaired if anything does go wrong. So that's my quick piece of advice for anyone looking at either picking up a little digital compact camera, or they've already got a little compact camera, they're looking for something different. It's useful information to know, and there are the resources online to let you know whether or not you'll be able to feasibly use the camera you're after. So I hope this has helped. If you do have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. If you like the video, then please do like it. If you really like the video, then you are more than welcome to subscribe. That would be great. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.